On today's date, the matter I'm going to discuss with regard to all the human rights abuses I'm experiencing is the issue of financial abuse, theft and exploitation. So, as I mentioned last night, as a consequence of offences that occurred between 2003 and 2005 that were not addressed or resolved, there was reputational, economic and other damages caused for me. So anyway, in recent times, there isn't, as I've mentioned in previous uploads, the individuals that have caused very dangerous offence to my child and I that have caused financial deprivation in my marriage. I've been 3 years deserted, a deserted wife for 3 years, and I've experienced violations of privacy, and I've experienced financial theft and exploitation in my marriage. I've also experienced spiritual violence and treason in my marriage, and I haven't received any reparations, and I haven't received any legal care with regard to my entitlements. The other issue with regard to the damages that I mentioned of the establishments that were involved in bodily integrity damages that have been damaging my body since 2016. They have not had any lawful consent to do any of these matters or cause any of these matters for me, and they have monetarily gained from their endeavours, and they did not have consultation from me or with me to exploit from my light body. They have caused damages to my anatomy. They have caused damage to my well-being. They have disrupted the environment of my abode. They have disrupted society. They're in quite a little bit of hot water for their disruption to society. That's common knowledge with their developments that they've been doing unlawfully. So that's another little aspect of this entire issue of these very smart people causing very dangerous offences to very sacred light fragments. So anyway, the issue of these individuals not addressing the damages, harms and losses that they've caused since they commenced is another issue. They've highlighted exactly how unprofessional they are. They've been showing how unlawful they are in their practices, and they certainly have no rights to anything from this woman. They are known to have damaged society already, and their damages to society commenced when they started damaging my universal light worker body. So from the first two aspects and factors of this entire charade, my hierarchy of needs has been detrimentally damaged. But these individuals of hate crime that are trespassing onto my property, they cause problems on my farm holdings. They caused problems in my family. They caused problems for my child. They caused problems to my health and well-being. So there's been awful problems caused in Tralee, County Kerry due to my property in Ardfert and Kilflynn. And the first two aspects that I've just mentioned, the issue of the financial abuse and theft and exploitation from my marriage, and the issue of established companies, two in particular, that have been damaging my light body and that have been causing harm to society, are in contempt and are not within any way viably tolerable in a 15 to 20 kilometre radius of my presence. So that's just two aspects. There's the other aspect of the other damages and harms and losses caused throughout the past 3 years from the 4 state agencies that the NTMA have been made aware of. So the NTMA have received documentation from me explaining and highlighting and stipulating exactly the offences that I've experienced with the Tusla Child and Family Agency, general practitioners, and that is for the attention of the Medical Council, the Kerry University Hospital that trespassed onto my property and misdiagnosed and prescribed harmful medication to me, and that where on those premises there were belongings from me stolen. So the Mental Health Commission were made aware of that situation caused between 2016 and 2017 and to the present date, where they have violated whistleblower protection laws. So there's the other matters of my profession as a teacher being damaged by these individuals. They have not only damaged my farm management position, they have damaged my role as a teacher in the classroom. They have stolen professional opportunities, and they have caused very serious harm to my family and faith and ancestry. So this is what happens when there's hate crime and human rights abuses occurring. A small collective, decide that they think they're going to put obstacles in a person's way to prevent them from progressing. They withhold wealth, they obstruct wealth, and they obstruct the legal care, medical care, and rights that every human being is entitled to. These individuals have been demonstrably destructive in society. It is common knowledge that their developments have been damaging society. And that commenced when they started damaging my personal space and well-being. As a universal light worker, these incompetent human beings that have not addressed their debts and have not been meeting their reparations are liable. They have dissuaded and evaded. They have changed the plot, constructed the scene, and told more outrageous lies that worsen their blasphemy. They have been blaspheming the faith. I find that really dangerous. And I find it very dangerous for them to be taking credit for work that I have been doing at home and abroad. So there have been gargantuous positive developments at home and abroad. And that commenced when I started my recent endeavours on this project in 2018. My real work began long before then. So these people that are intruding and imposing upon this situation, that don't even have rights to be in my proximity and that aren't from my country and aren't of my county, are really disrespecting our country and democracy. So that's really disrespectful. So the entire issue of the NTMA and the Honourable Government of Ireland being aware of all the very dangerous offences that I'm experiencing, and the companies that have damaged society and that are still in contempt for the troubles that they've caused, are not in ownership or in authority of anything belonging to this woman that they have intruded upon and violated. They do not own anything from this situation. They have damaged society. It is common knowledge. So there's a few issues being overlooked with regard to people helping themselves to circumstances, wealth and property that they have no right to. As I've mentioned, there's been disruption and disharmony caused on my family farm holdings, and those people trespassing there are very unwelcome with the problems they've caused to my son and I. There aren't any other individuals in a position as of 2015 to discuss my farm holdings or my son in an unlawful care order. So there's a lot of fraud and a lot of illegality and unlawful actions and a lot of distortions and delusions that people are working with that aren't very safe for them to be utilising in a serious circumstance of my royal patronage of sacred and my ancestral property of 200 years being disrespected. So my ancestral property of my marriage is a very serious issue that I'd appreciate the Department of Justice addressing, especially with regard to my child in an unlawful care order. And as regard the companies, the two establishments that have helped themselves to certain circumstances that aren't exactly standardised or lawful, I would like to bring it to the attention of the relevant agencies that they have no right or remit with a universal light worker. And then there's the issue of the NTMA. I'd like to remind you that I've unduly experienced very dangerous wrongdoings, and as I've worked for 3 state departments and I have a clean track record, I'd appreciate the NTMA addressing the reparations that I'm due.